My professional opinion, this guy's dead in shit. Strike that last comment.
Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today we are starting something brand new, In Defense. Now, what is In Defense? What this is we're bringing on past guests that we've just been itching to have back on the show to talk about a movie that they love that may not be well received in the genre. And when we had the idea to do this, I knew right away who guest number one was going to be. Not only is he a great friend, not only is he a great content creator, love following the guy on Twitter. He's always making me laugh. He's an amazing drummer for an amazing band, Coheed and Cambria. He is one of the best MCs in the world, Weerd Science. I got the amazing Josh Eppard here. Josh, how you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm good, Ken. You know, it's always a pleasure and a real treat to be doing anything with you. So stoked to be here and stoked to be on the first episode of In Defensive, dude. Honestly, what an honor for me. And as you can imagine, we were talking about it before a little bit. I'm well versed in the ways of defending. I don't know when we say the movie, but I'm well versed in defending this movie, Jason Goes to Hell. My favorite. Now, it's funny. You have mentioned before that you had done a rundown and it's number 2 for you. I also flip back between 6 and 9. There's a lot of 6's spirit in 9. Mm-hmm. Jason's dead 2 for okay. So in 9 we see, or in 6 we see Forest Green. Like all of a sudden, you think about how 6 is a much kind of, the universe is much broader. We see the police station. There's a town, all the townspeople and stuff. Well, 9 kind of carried a lot of that energy. We see the town. There are people in this town. They're aware of Jason. Jason's bloodline is there. That to me had a lot of 6 energy in it. But 6 and 9, I go back between 6 and 9 as my favorites. But again, I think they carry a lot of the same energy in a lot of ways.
Which is funny because we're talking about these franchises, and a lot of times people, they fall off after 3 or 4. We're sitting here debating over part 6 or part 9.
Totally.
Of the two. And, I want to talk a little bit about you before we actually get into talking about this movie and defending it. For the people that don't know you, as I said a little bit ago, he is the drummer for Coheed and Cambria. He does Weerd Science, which is his rap group, which is so dope. Like, I'm telling you, one of the dopest. I can't even talk about how much of an impact How to Be had on my life. You know what I mean? And we've talked about this before, you and I do have all of Josh's social media links down here in the description as well. So make sure you're checking him out. Follow him on Twitter, Instagram, so you can stay up to date on everything that he has coming up for us. You're not going to want to miss it. But the reason that Josh and I connected was not because of my love for Coheed and Cambria or my love for Weerd Science or even our love, shared for baseball. The reason Josh and I connected was because of his love of Friday the 13th. That's where me and Josh really connected. And Josh has something, while we're talking about Jason Goes to Hell, Josh has something that nobody else has. Josh, can you tell us what that is next to you?
Oh, well, this is a bust from Jason Goes to Hell. Pretty sick. But actually, what's really trippy about this is, so apparently there was like a still shot. Originally, Jason was going to be unmasked in Jason Goes to Hell. So there's this still shot of what the makeup was going to look like. And it's funky, dude. This is wild. But if you can imagine it like dripping and wet, like in the movie, skull all out, this shit is wild. Check this out. It's all hard to get off because it's melted into the face. Just
Look
like
at
in the
that,
movie.
man.
And really try to imagine it though, like dripping wet, just like his skull is completely visible here. No nose. The teeth are just like kind of like little nibbles. I love the way, and you know what's funny, dude? People have kind of started to shit on the way Jason looks in part 9. I'll give you this. It might be a little 90s-esque in terms of like the practical effects, but it's still badass, dude. You can still see his ribs and in the rot through the clothes, which I loved how they introduced that in part 7. Kane Hodder's first time playing it. But this is made by a company called Devil's Latex out of Canada. Really terrific, incredible company. I have some other busts. I have a part 7 bust. I have a part 8 bust. I mean, my room is filled with Jason stuff. There's just Jason stuff all over the place. Here, get this going. Get us really in the mood here. We got the lights back there under the Jason masks. But yeah, incredible bust. I like to do, whenever I talk about Jason Goes to Hell, I like to put my man right next to me because I'm that big of a fan of this movie. So yeah.
And it's amazing because, like you said, you don't get to see Jason's face throughout the film. And that's something that I think has turned a lot of people off on the film. And we are going to be fair, guys. We are going to talk about some of the major criticisms that people have on this film and what we think about those. And we're going to start off with the Rotten Tomato score. So the critic score for this movie is 16% with an audience score of 24%. Now, obviously not good rankings. And some of the major criticisms that we've heard, especially reading comments on Rotten Tomatoes, Jason is a slug.
Yeah.
Jason is a slug. Jason is a slug. You get that over and over again. Jason goes from body to body. Jason is not a shapeshifter, these type of things. And what we were talking about is, guys, we are on the 9th entry of a franchise. We've seen, for 7 movies, for 6 movies, what happens when you have Jason Voorhees in the woods at a camp with kids. Then you get him in Manhattan. Obviously, in the OG, you have his mother. But what a risk for a young filmmaker to take in Adam Marcus and taking on this film. Now, your shit about this movie, Josh. The hockey mask is something that was... Do you want to talk about this a little bit? You know this a lot more than I do.
Well, sure. There's a story that Adam told. In fact, they're actually doing a documentary about Adam and his journey making this movie. I believe it's being produced by a company called Skeleton Crew. I believe I'm in the documentary, so I'm pretty pumped about that. But basically, Sean Cunningham, who, if you remember some of like the taglines on the ads, it was from the producer of the first, comes to bring you the last. And Sean Cunningham, like, famously produced the original. But he had one thing that he told Adam Marcus. He said, "Get that damn mask out of my movie." So can you imagine being this kid who's like, you've done a couple commercials, and all of a sudden the producer is telling you, "Get this mask," the thing that we all love. I think, and no disrespect to Mr. Cunningham, I think, he just didn't really have his finger on the pulse of what the fans wanted. But
sure,
all of the things that are kind of easy to point at to disparage Jason Goes to Hell, I think there's a very specific kind of turn of events that made me really forgiving to those things. The slug aspect was fucking wildly out of pocket. It was crazy. But it was also very fantastic. It was very comic book. And that energy kind of permeated throughout that movie. And yeah, it makes part 4 not make any sense because Jason technically did die in part 4, which the real diehard fans, but come on. Oh, God, I don't want to put my Jason glasses on because I do like it when the movies make sense, but I'm willing to forgive. And let me just briefly tell you why. When I was a kid, and I saw the trailer for Jason Goes to Hell. It's maybe, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm falling asleep on my couch and I see the New Line logo. And this is pre-internet. I know I'm dating myself here. I'm 43 years old. Pre-internet, but I had read how Jason was sold to New Line in one of my movie magazines or Fangoria. So I see the New Line logo and I hear this kind of ominous music and I think to myself, it can't be.
Horror has many faces.
It can't be. Now, mind you, again, there's no internet. There's no YouTube. You sit up all night waiting for this commercial. I have a few of these moments in my life, and every nerve is ablaze. And it's the Jason Goes to Hell trailer, and I begin the countdown to when it comes out. Well, I'm 13 years old, and it doesn't come to my town. It doesn't play. We had gone to part 8 and snuck in and saw part 8 in the movies. Nothing could keep me from part 9, except it doesn't come here. So I they say like absence makes the heart grow fonder. And mind you, this isn't when the movie's in theaters. 2 weeks later, it's available to stream. This is like a year later you have to wait. So I was prepared for the lack of Jason. I knew all the plot lines because I read every single piece in Fangoria about Jason Goes to Hell, which if, old fans like me will remember, Fangoria kind of, they build a movie up as they should, promoting it. I love Fangoria. This is in no way to disparage Fangoria. But then a lot of times the movies would come out and the critics would rip them apart. They'd say, "Oh, this movie stinks and this is why." Jason Goes to Hell, I remember the headline in the first major article after the release was "In praise of Jason, ... at last." And they copped to some of the gripes. They said the plot was directly lifted from the hit. They probably brought up the worm thing, but they also said Jason hasn't looked this cool in years. And it was just, you think I wasn't impressionable? I was 13 years old, an avid Fangoria reader, and Fangoria loved this movie. So I'm sure that was, impressionable. I'm sure that landed. But I just waited and counted down the days to the point where it comes out. I'm ready. I understand. I'm not seeing this the second day it's out in the movies where it's a shock that Jason's not in it. I'm ready for that. I've been kind of pre-warned. So that stuff didn't land in a way that I wasn't expecting it. So I think that's important to mention when we talk about my love for this movie. But when I saw it, nothing could have prepared me for just how good it was and just how gory it was. I never saw the R-rated version. Now I say to myself, thank God it didn't play in my town. Ken, I used to sit there and just look at the movie times because it was playing about an hour and a half away. And I would just sit there and look at the movie times and feel that I couldn't go, and I was so pissed off. But its initial release on DVD was all the NC-17 director's cut, which thank God, because the R-rated version, I actually didn't see the R-rated version until maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It came on Showtime and I'm watching it. And the scene where the chick gets split in half doesn't happen. And I was like, wait, what the hell? And then I realized, oh my God, I'm watching the R-rated version. So fuck that version. But the NC-17 version, the director's cut, Adam Marcus's director's cut, phenomenal gore, phenomenal action. There's a diner shootout that it's am I watching Jason Goes to Hell or am I fucking watching Heat? That diner shootout is legit, dude. The attention to detail is unlike any Friday movie I'd ever seen. When the kind of fresh face, the heavy set cook comes out, and Robert, as he's possessed by the Jason demon, is approaching the diner, and Robert goes to punch him, and he grabs the hand, and then he snaps the bone right out of the forearm. That level of detail hadn't really been seen. I mean, you think about Part 8. These movies generally have one kind of monster kill. 6 has a couple really cool ones. The Stand Up 4 has some great stuff, but 8, the only kill I can really think of is Julius getting the head knocked off, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but in 9, I think every kill has a redeeming quality to it. And again, that diner shootout, I love how weird it is, Ken. The movie is so odd. What about when the doctor who's doing he's putting all Jason's body parts on, and we're hearing this doctor talk about Jason, male, 260 pounds, blah, 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 riddled with bullets, 100 to 170 bullets. That was awesome. And by the way, not to jump around too, I'm sensitive to the fact that
I love this.
Kids, basically what Jason Goes to Hell did is they answered the call from playgrounds across America. I grew up in the 80s. I was on those playgrounds. We used to say, why don't they blow him up with a bazooka? How come they don't just cut him into a million pieces and then hide the pieces in all the farthest corners of the world? Well, guess what? Adam Marcus came in and they fucking did it. I love that. I love that they never explained how he comes. You know why they didn't explain how he comes back? Because 2 times in a row, it's been electricity, and enough is enough. It's or what, 8, it's electricity, 7, it's a psychic, which is actually quite cool. But also, it's why I love 7. It's very comic book. That's my Jason. And I get it. A lot of the fans prefer human, homicidal maniac Jason. Not me. I prefer undead, supernatural, unkillable, rotten, filled with maggots and holes, killing fucking machine. In Friday 6. Jason's back and he's more powerful than ever.
Franken Jason, man.
Yeah, dude. I prefer. That's my preferred. After Friday 09, dude, I was oh my God, it did well enough. They're going to do a part 2. And just like Friday 09, they kind of did a retelling of almost the first 4 in a way, and I thought they did I like Friday 09. I thought they did a hell of a lot better job on the Friday one than they did on the Nightmare one. But I wanted a sequel of this guy, of Supernatural Jason in the modern era, but we never got that. And that movie made $100 million. It's a real shame that we never got that. Now I'd like to see an actual sequel, but whatever. Back to Jason Goes to Hell. There's just so much to like about the movie. Fine, Jason's a slug. Yeah, I see a really fucking fantastic, wild, creative comic book of an idea They also had the Necronomicon in the house. Come on, they're throwing it back to the classic horror shit. The crate. I mean, I was armed for all that stuff. I would have noticed the Necronomicon without a doubt. I don't know that the crate would have landed quite as hard, even though I got Creep Show posters all over my wall. But I just thought that was so neat how in the Voorhees house they're throwing it back to classic horror. And I think Jason Goes to Hell. It took some wild leaps, chances, home run swings, and honestly, to me, it landed on quite a few of them. It's weird. It's a really strange movie, but I'll tell you what, dude. You watch all of them in a row. We did this on the Coheed bus. And I don't know, either I've never done that, all of them in a row, or I'd done it so long ago, I didn't really remember. By the time you get to 9, you're ready for the door to be blown off. You're ready for the scope to be broadened, the news magazine show. I mean, like, we were over just 7 or 8 kids at a house in the woods. No, this was the news magazine, the lore with the family, the magic knife. Do you know how many people I talk to and argue with about this movie that don't even know Jason returns at the end in one of the most like hair-raising scenes, dude? And I don't mean hair-raising scary. I mean hair-raising fucking Rocky Balboa awesome. When Steven says, Duke, does the Voorhees woman need to be alive? I don't think so. That thing's in the basement with Jessica's mother. Lord help us. Boom! Come on, man. That's stand-up, out of your seat shit. How often do we really see that in a Jason movie? Not that much. A little bit here and there, but that was balls to the wall. Let's fucking go. And that fight, I think you can watch it now, and it can almost seem lame. But at the time, it kind of like harkened back to the fight between Alice and Pamela Voorhees from the original in a way. It was very like human. I got the sense Jason was just kind of getting used to being back. Like he just came back. He's getting his wits about him. I create up my own like storylines and shit. But like I loved the magical knife getting drilled into him and the hands of hell coming up. It was comic booky. It was an adventure, a fantastic like mythical adventure that really enhanced the lore. And yeah, dude, it sits atop. I think, at this juncture, like I said, I bounce back between 6 and 9, but like right now, I'm totally comfortable calling 9 my absolute favorite one. So, which is wild.
I'm right there with you. And my ode to Jason Goes to Hell, I have the Jason mask on top of the Necronomicon. You can't really see it right now, but that's kind of my ode to the movie. You know, like that's what this movie means to me as well, man.
Yeah, that's the shit, dude. Gosh, what do I got? I got my Necronomicon right here, baby. Check this out. I got this. This is this artist from Kingston made this. This is one of a kind. Check out this Necronomicon, this big motherfucker. Can you see that?
Damn.
Isn't that sick?
That is fucking dope.
Yeah, dope, right? And then I got this one that fully illustrated. Probably the same one you got. What company did it?
This is
sick. Yeah, but and it took forever to come. Like you ordered it and it didn't show up for like 2 years. But this is really, this thing is so dope. I love like fully illustrated. I got to get some more like shelves to display all my stuff. I mean, check this out, dude. I got this is like a little Jason scene here. Yeah. This mask is from 7. Now it wasn't on film, but it was a backup mask from the actual movie. That's a part 8 bus. Oh, check out this Freddy shit. Have I ever showed you this shit?
No, man.
Oh, dude. I don't know what you can see. Check out this from Nightmare 2.
Yeah, where it's the actual fingers.
Yeah, isn't that dope?
Hell yeah, it is.
Ken, you got to come over sometime, bro. If you're ever in New York, you can get your ass over here. We'd have a blast, dude. I just had a movie sleepover the other night. We watched Phantasm 5. I'd never seen it before. It was interesting, I guess. But yeah, so Jason Goes to Hell, to me, it's a special movie. And then, you know what, dude? I think the hatred for it helps to kind of like solidify. Sorry, I got a snotty nose. Helps to like solidify the bond with the movie because I spend so much time defending it. But I'm not a contrarian, dude. Like I'm like, that shit drives me nuts when people just go a certain way to be against the grain. I view that as like a very high school mindset. That's not at all me. I love Jason Goes to Hell because I think it's extremely well made, fun, kick-ass, violent, gory ride. And I do have to say, I think it's the best one. I think it's the most to this day, it's the most entertaining one. And I love 6, 7, same reasons I love 7. And I think 7, you know, I love 7. I think where 7 kind of missed the mark with the comic bookness, 9 really kind of drove home. And in my heart, I'm shocked. If I was around when they made 9, I was on the production team, I would have thought we made a Friday movie that people were going to love. I might have said we need 30% more Jason. Like, because I get it. Jason's not in it, but they give you just a little bit. Like when the doctor, oh, come on. A Jason movie had not had a sense of humor like this since 6, right? Jason's dead, 2-for-1 burger sale. Kane Hodder as the security guy calling Jason a big old pussy. It was funny. It was self-aware in a way that we hadn't seen really since 6. That's why I say part 6, the energy of part 6 is alive and well in part 9. Like that, those parts kind of remind me of part 6. I watched like a bunch of Jason movies with my girls, and my girls are not into horror. That's what they do for my birthday. We pick a horror series and we watch a bunch of them. They love 6 because 6 is a good movie. They love 9 because 9 is a fun, good movie, and it's funny. What about the diner scene? Jason's dead, 2-for-1 burger sale, and she's showing him how to do the hockey mask burgers. And when Robert kills her, he knocks her chin like down her throat. That was kind of funny, and you just don't see like kind of silly deaths in a Jason movie all that often. But these were brutal too. And what about the young girl from the diner when Robert takes her and pulls her into the guns? It's like the blood pours out of her mouth, and the acting is good. The acting in 9 is really good. And come on, Creighton Duke, man. I mean, one of the most badass characters in the whole series. God, how wouldn't there be a market? Isn't there a fan base for if they did, like, I don't know, if they could figure out this shit like legally and did like a Creighton Duke show, like about young Creighton Duke bounty hunting, and you drop hints, and maybe for the season finale, you actually show what happened between Creighton Duke and Jason. Adam Marcus has talked about what the backstory was, and it was going to be more in depth, but I actually like that they kept it really kind of ominous, like, remember me? Oh, come on, but I'm dying to know. Oh, right. I love Duke, man.
Have you seen the fan film Roseblood?
No, you know what? I haven't seen. I've seen a bunch of the fan films, Ken, but I haven't seen that one.
My boy Peter Anthony, he did Roseblood. It brings back Laura Park Lincoln to reprise her role as Tina from part 7.
I 100% saw it. Yes. For some reason, the name didn't ring a bell. Of course I watched that. First of all, Laura Park Lincoln I'll have a crush on her for the rest of my life. I just adore her. No, of course, Roseblood was sick, dude. Fucking totally. You know the dude that made that?
Yeah.
No shit, dude. Really? You're so plugged in, Ken. You're my fucking hero, bro. That's awesome.
Peter's a great dude, man. You would love him to death because he's just like you. The thing about Peter is he does not do a fucking thing for money. Peter does it because he absolutely adores the Friday the 13th franchise. And that's something that with him, I have mad respect for, because he is just a huge fan of the franchise. He went out of his way to try to get Lar back, and it worked out. And I was so proud of him because he was, much like the documentary. I don't want to get too much into that because I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to cross any lines or any boundaries, but it's a dream come true for you the way it was for him. And that's something for me that we often, when we hear about these things, we're like, oh, that's cool for that person. But they're living out a fucking dream, man.
Yeah,
like
man.
Him working with Lar, someone that, shaped all of our lives. We all loved Lar growing up. Everybody loved part 7. We got our Carrie versus Jason, and Lar is a huge reason that movie was the success that it was. And you getting to work with Adam Marcus, that's another thing where, like, we love Adam Marcus, not just because of Jason Goes to Hell. Adam Marcus was a part of My Boyfriend's Back, which is one of the first horror comedies I ever remember truly adoring. And, you get to work with this person that it means a lot to both of us. And these are fucking dreams come true, man. And I'm so happy that we get to do these things. And one thing I wanted to ask you about Jason Goes to Hell, and a lot of people, obviously, this is one of the biggest criticisms I hear about the movie, and it drives me fucking nuts. Well, Jason's at Camp Crystal Lake, and all those FBI agents showed up, and Jason didn't hear any of them. That's a criticism that I hear a lot throughout when people talk about this movie. And I'm like, right after that, a doctor eats a heart and turns him into Jason Voorhees. So, if you're, suspension of belief can't get past FBI agents sneaking into a, camp, I don't know what to tell you, but it turns into, like you said, a playground conversation we all had as kids. Just fucking blow him up, blow him to pieces. What's he gonna do then? And honestly, one of my favorite first acts of the whole Friday the 13th franchise.
Oh, dude, without a doubt. First of all, so when I was a kid and got it, I made my parents watch it. After the movie, my father goes, shit, they made a good Jason movie. Like, they enjoyed the movie, but the beginning part played so hard. When the FBI, before she's an agent and she runs and falls, my parents are like rolling their eyes. They're like, oh God, they're not even trying anymore. And when she jumps up and flips over the guy and he comes up shooting, they were like, holy shit, what? And to see it play, because I watched it 3 times. I skipped school the day it came out on video. I skipped school. I had my buddy Mark drive me to Allison Videoland because I was afraid there was only going to be 1 copy. I'd waited long enough. There was like 200 copies, but like I watched it all day long. And I believe it was understood. My parents were allowing me to skip school to watch it because they just knew how much I wanted to see it. And finally, like the next day I make them watch it and they were blown away by how good it was. But how good it played, to me, it was with a wink. They were giving you all the Friday tropes, girl alone in the cabin. And I love, God, thinking about that feeling. It makes my hair stand up of like no explanation. Jason's back because he fucking always comes back because he's unstoppable. You know why he's back? Because fuck you. That's why. Yep. And he's just, you don't know that. So first time you're watching it, maybe that one thing I must have known that. But like, watching it, trying to put myself in the headspace of somebody that doesn't know, like, how are they going to show how he comes back? And boom, he's just back. In that first scene, she falls, lands on the table, and she looks up, and then it's her point of view of Jason just hulking over the banister, fucking giant, and Kane doing his breathing. To me, that is the ultimate. I've never seen anybody. So the beef is that Jason owns those woods, and he would have known there was FBI agents. Shit, that might have been a good opening. Give us our 30% more Jason. Jason ends up taking out a bunch of the FBI agents, but then gets sidetracked by a girl in the woods and they end up getting him. I never once in my life thought of that because, are we really going to start adding like real world? Come on, this is a movie about, and I'm not saying that they have free reign to do anything. Like, it's got to be footed in some kind of reality or else, just nothing makes sense. But hey, it's the FBI and they showed up. Jason was, distracted. Busy. Yeah, he was distracted with the girl in the woods. That's why they sent her there to the woods. People have been getting murdered, presumably for years that we didn't get to see. Because Jason's been back and killing at Crystal Lake. I always I would create my own storylines. I always kind of felt like since he died outside of Crystal Lake, he just naturally, like his soul, the essence of Jason just returns to Crystal Lake. Maybe he's even like in Freddy vs. Jason. I remember thinking this would be cool, and then they kind of did it in that movie where he's formed out of the woods, out of the bedding of the woods. Jason just is formed. But I like that. To be fair, explain it.
They did explain it to an extent because there is the Necronomicon sitting in the house.
And Adam Marcus did say, well, I guess, by that notion, then Jason is a Deadite. And it's like, all right, I love that, dude.
Run it, man.
Yeah, that's why I love that they did those little cameo things. That's so fucking cool, man. I never saw that about, like, particularly the FBI. That seems like a silly nitpick to me. Because come on, even if you hate Jason Goes to Hell, how cool is that scene, dude? And how good does it look when his head blows off? Like, that looks, dude, that's 1990. Well, that's probably being filmed in 92 because it came out in 93. They did a terrific job blowing it up perfect with the head. And then the fucking cop. I knew it was going to be a different movie when the cop's like, good shooting, Mahoney. And it's just like funny and silly. God, I don't know if it's cool or sad that I could recite like the dialogue for the whole movie. Like, I meant to do a rewatch and then I was like, I don't need to, dude. I know the movie
Right.
so in and out. I'll probably watch it after this just because I love talking about it. But I do understand people's gripes. And I mean this in total good faith. I really do. I get why people don't like it. Jason's not in it. I think if you watch it, like I have done this with longtime fans, more than a handful of them. They watch it with me, and like my maybe good energy is a little like infectious. And I point out, dude, that kill is masterful when she gets split in half, the gore of it all. And they usually come around like, it's definitely not as bad as I remember. And more than a few of them are like, he comes back in the end. And I'm like, you're out here saying this is the worst one. And you don't even know he comes back in the end for like the triumphant return. So, yeah, I wish there was more Jason too. But then on the flip side, like the scene at the house when Jason's the cop and he looks in the mirror, that's an all-time. That scene like haunts me. And it's almost like, and the cop kind of looks in the mirror almost like bewildered. Is that Jason, or is that like the last bit of like humanity. In the cop looking at himself like, and then they stick him through the heart and he makes that like demon sound. Falls out the window. It's just such a cool movie, man. And I love the like expanding of the lore. To me, that's important. I think that level of, we've got fucking 8 movies here. Let's expand the lore. Let's learn more. And people hate it for it. People hate Jason Goes to Hell for expanding the lore. Honestly, Ken, if they didn't do the no Jason thing, I think it'd be celebrated top 3. I think people would love it with that level of gore, those kind of kills. If it was more Jason, or perhaps they did away completely. Maybe Jason got blown up and was able to come back soon or something. I bet people would really like it. I get being turned off by the slug. I get being turned off by Jason being like not in it. But God, by the 9th movie, don't we give it some credit for trying to do something new, trying to hit a home run?
Thank you.
Yeah. And people love Jason X, dude. That like there's been a real turnaround with Jason X, and that, as a fan, as one of the diehards of this series, I just don't get the love for Jason X. But I'm willing, different birds, different feathers. I'm not mad at anybody for liking Jason X. I've tried, dude. I watch it once a year, and every time I go in with an open mind and an open heart, it just does not do it for me. But Jason Goes to Hell is my shit.
Well, and I got to tell you, this is a true story, and I've told this on the podcast before, so people may know. Jason Goes to Hell is the first time I ever got grounded. My mom told me that she was so fucking tired of hearing me talk about that stupid fucking glove, grabbing that mask and taking it underground. And I'm telling you right now, bro, like when that happened to me, my head exploded. Like my brain didn't know how to comprehend what it was seeing. When I saw Freddy's glove come up and grab Jason's mask and take it down, like I've got chills right now. Recently, we did a live that was counting down our top 10 favorite horror movie endings of all time. That was number 1 for me. No, you guys can go back and rewatch that. That is my favorite ending to any horror movie ever. Like it has the shock of this is a Freddy fucking Krueger glove coming up and a Jason Voorhees movie. Back then, that was no. That was a no back then.
This is long before like the Marvel synergy of like characters mix in other movies. This like, what a fucking ending. What a ballsy thing to do. It was so fucking cool. And we were kids. It set us on fire, dude. It's all I talked about for like a year and a half. And like, what an ending. What a fucking ending, bro. And I would just sit there and watch it over and over and over. I think there's even like it almost looks like one of his pinky, the blade on the pinky almost bends a little bit. I don't think it does, but that's the type of shit we would just study as kids. Not me and my brother Kwame. We were obsessed with this shit. My parents actually, they ended up throwing out all my Jason masks and all my stuff because it's embarrassing. I say it in a Weird Science song, but it's a true story. My dad and me were in a big fight. I'm like 14 years old. And my dad never hit me or anything, but he's got me like pinned up to the wall. He was yelling at me like, "What's wrong with you, you motherfucker?" And I said, "Dad, would you touch Jason Voorhees like that?" And he was like, "Oh my God, dude." And they threw out all my masks. I didn't have anything that good. Back then, I'm a kid. It's like impossible to get dope masks. But like,
Yeah.
me and Kwame would just sit there with a Polaroid camera, taking turns wearing Jason masks, holding my mother's very real knives, like her butcher knife. We didn't have a machete, so we just use a butcher knife. I picture my parents like finding those pictures, just like, oh, Jimmy, we've got a problem. Like, this is fucked up. But it was important to us. It was beyond important. And that's why, that's why I'm covered in Jason tattoos. It's not just that I love the movies. It was more than just a movie to me. It was like an escape. It was a place to go where I felt comfortable. I was deeply uncomfortable as a kid. And, that could also touch on like why Part 9 meant so much to me. I'm getting a little bit older. I'm not, 7 or 8. I'm 13, 14. I might have been 14 by the time it came out on DVD. I'm starting to get a little bit older, and that escape, school's getting a little bit rougher. School felt like life or death to me at that age. And I could escape in these horror movies. I went to a school that was really dangerous, man. I went to a school that, now it seems silly to say, but at the time when you're 14, it feels like life or death. And these movies were an escape for me. And, yes, I wanted to love 9, but that's true of all movies. When I sit down to watch a movie, here's what a filmmaker gets from me. I'm on the movie's side from the jump. I want to enjoy the movie. I don't sit there. I think a lot of people watch a movie and want to hate it. Like they want to be overly critical. I'm the opposite. I want to go on the journey. Where are we going? Where are you taking me? I'm open-minded and open. My heart is wide open. Let's go, and let's go together. With Jason Goes to Hell, like it took me on such a kick-ass ride. I actually kind of feel bad. I enjoy it so much. I kind of feel bad for people, the uninitiated, if you will, the people that don't enjoy it like I do. I wish they did, which is why I always defend it. I want people to enjoy it like I do. While I get the gripes, I think they're selling short one of the most creative. And there's no debating that the kills in 9 are a cut above. And I get it, dude. Savini's a brilliant genius. 1 has some incredible stuff that was really groundbreaking. But 9's kills. Watch the director's cut of 9. You put the kills up there with any Jason movie.
Easily.
But I think light years better, dude. There's some really amazing shit that happens. And you got all the ingredients for a terrific Jason movie. It still baffles me that the kind of groundswell is more of new support is more for Jason X. But then I just say, God, I must not. Typical me, I don't have much in common with the masses. Like I always am out on my own fucking plank, me and you. Like, no, dude, Jason Goes to Hell. And believe me, when I say I've like semi-converted some fans, that believe me, there's still plenty of fans that are like, nope, piece of shit, sucks. But they're not willing to try. The couple fans that like we sit there and kind of send YouTube clips back and forth and really dig in, a lot of times they're like, oh shit, dude, this is doper than I remember. It's like just the energy around 9. It's like people it sucks. And that's all that was written about it. When it's like, if you take the time, it's actually really quite compelling. It's great acting, great story, funny. Come on, these are all the ingredients of a good time, man. What the fuck?
Just sit and rewatch the movie again with an open mind. Watch the unrated one, sit down, have an open mind on it. Now, before we go into the next thing I wanted to talk about, I got to say this real quick, guys. 21 years ago, last month, I met Kwame for the first time. 2002, it was February. Coheed was playing a show at the Shelter with Hopes Fall, One Line Drawing, and the Rocking Horse Winner. And
oh my God.
I met Josh that night for the first time. We talked for about 2 hours, and me and Kwame talked for about an hour. And the biggest teddy bear in the world. I love the guy to death. Kwame has my ultimate love and respect forever. And that was the first night I met you. Like I had known Coheed, obviously, but like you said, even back then, the closest you could get was waiting for your website to load up forever just to see, the Coheed website. We didn't know each other back then. We just ran into each other at the show and we talked for like 2 hours and just like, now I get to do this, and talk about horror movies with you and how much they mean to you. And my final question about Jason Goes to Hell, how much would you say, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, man, but I wanted especially for you to have this question down. Usually when I do my first horror movie, how does this movie affect you? 0 to 5 skulls. So what I'm going to do now, how much does this movie mean to you? Obviously, we're defending it, so it means a lot to you. But we're going to go on a 10 skull count now. 0 Skulls, this movie is not that important to you. 10 Skulls, it's one of the most important movies of all time to you. Where would you rank Jason Goes to Hell in the importance in the catalog of your life?
Oh man, I mean this with like zero hyperbole or whatever that word is. 10, Ken. This is one of the most important horror movies in my life. And perhaps that's a byproduct of the years of defending it. Perhaps if it was like ultra celebrated, I wouldn't spend years rewatching, dissecting, kind of like, I just feel like I'm really having, and I'm proud to do so because of my love for it. I'm out there beating the drum for it. I'm in the damn documentary about the guy that making the movie because of how much I love. And I told you this before, but I wanted to say it on here. I get the feeling, and somewhat speculatory on my end, but I get the feeling that Adam Marcus kind of thought I loved Jason Goes to Hell with a wink. But when I made him this video, just on my phone, just like this, like on my phone, talking about Jason Goes to Hell, it was supposed to be 2 minutes. It was 12 minutes, and that's as quick as I could have done it. And I think he finally understood how much that movie really means to me. It's such a 10. And there's not many 10s, Ken. Yeah. There's maybe a small handful of movies that you could ask me about that are 10. So I recognize the importance of the scale. I was going to say 9, but I would be lying, dude. It's a 10. It's a bona fide, full-fledged 10. It's just a movie that, I mean, we talked about my escape as a young man. I mean, that was all my horror movies and just movies in general, but specifically horror for me and Kwame. Just that's one of the things where we really bonded and still do to this day. Kwame's 10-year-old daughter just told me she's writing a script for a movie called Jason Sees the Light, where Jason's mom comes back as a ghost and actually tells him he can stop killing now, and that Jason goes good, basically. She's so sweet. She's 10 years old, bro.
That's dope, man.
I know, dude. For Christmas, I was trying to make up a poster with like stock, pictures of Jason and Pamela and do like Jason Sees the Light, but like it just got so busy at Christmas. Actually, I still have Kwame and his daughter's Christmas present sitting here. I'm a terrible friend, but yeah, isn't that dope? But that movie,
is so sick, dude.
You know, if you ask me like the importance of 6, I'd be like, oh, I don't know, like 7 or something. All of them are important to me. But 9, Jason Goes to Hell. I mean, I wrote songs about it. It's just such, they made a Jason movie for me. So perhaps it's really fitting that a lot of people don't like it. Maybe that seems to kind of fall in line with my life. Like things that I think are really great a lot of times, like people aren't into. And I've always known I've kind of like floated out there, like beyond the masses in a way. Like I have my kinfolk, right? Me and you dig this shit, but like, maybe that's all part of the beauty of it, that it deepens like our connection as friends because we get it. And I don't think it's like an elitist thing. It's like I said, I get why people don't like it. But to me, it just, I don't know. Maybe it's simply just because I was armed for that lack of Jason. Maybe if I went to see it in the movies like I did Jason X, I'd be like, I doubt it though, because it's so brutal and Jason looks so dope. He looked so good that it almost like they could get away with him. And every time you were really feeling the lack of Jason, they threw you a little scene where you got to see him in a little snippet again, just fuel. It's just, oh shit, he's coming back. And then you got like, dude, they achieved something brilliant in that movie to where like during the diner shootout, like I'm not missing Jason. That shootout was so brutal. And the storyline to me was fantastic. I learned that people just want the same thing over and over again. And what's funny, dude, I'm a bit of a purist. Like when it comes to Coheed, I'm the guy in the studio, not trying to deliver the same record, but like, I want to make another Welcome Home. I want to make another In Keeping Secrets. Whereas like Claudio is very like, let's go somewhere new. And I need that. But Jason Goes to Hell is like the Claudio of the Jason series. Dude, we watched them together on the Coheed bus. Claudio agreed wholeheartedly. 9 is such a breath of fresh air. 9's like the best one. Like Claudio's like, holy shit, dude, without a doubt. And the kills, we're watching them. I'm watching them with a bunch of people who said they didn't like 9. All of them by the end were like, that was fucking awesome. So, yeah, it happened. My man Chooch, who had a place with a buddy called Slime Time Video in Lancaster, PA, still doing VHS videos. It's still there. Big horror place, kind of collector place, blah, blah, blah. But he was after 9. He was like, dude, I have to admit, like, I wrote off 9, and it is way better than I remembered. And I think that's part of it. Why it's important to me. I feel like the movie never got its due. I feel like a shitty edited R cut kind of like muted the enthusiasm from the core group, and then people never gave the director's cut a shot. So Ken said it before. We're just asking you to watch it again with an open mind, and then make up your own mind, and don't just automatically assume this sucks. You can have your beefs with it if you got like a lot of people didn't like the scene where when the large doctor, the black gentleman with the beard, the doctor that's doing what is it called? The coroner. What does he do?
The coroner.
Yeah, but what is it called when somebody dies and they do autopsy? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
My bro, I'm like, what is that word? The guy doing the autopsy, and then he eats Jason's giant heart, and then he's Jason and walks by the mirror, and you see the Jason. You're like, whoa, what? Something crazy's going on here. When he sends it to the cop, he shaves the cop first. He puts the shaving cream all over the cop's face. I think that's them just being weird. But even to me, I'm like, why the fuck did they put that scene in here? But I think it's just them, like, being weird and throwing you off the scent, so to speak. Like, whoa, this is really strange. But yeah, please watch it for us with an open mind. And if you still hate it, hey, fair enough. Bygones be bygones. But I have a feeling a lot of you fans, a lot of Jason fans are going to watch that and see it in a new light. I really do, because I've seen it with my own eyes too many times. Make sure you watch the director's cut. It's hard to find the R-rated cut. So chances are, like, most of the versions you're getting are the director's cut, even if it doesn't like explicitly say that. I'll tell you what, it's the R-rated version if in like the first 20 minutes a girl has not gotten straight up split in half in one of the gnarliest kills. Did you know that scene was added in? Like, they had a cut of the movie and they added that scene in because thank God they did. Like, they needed something more kind of brutal, and they got it, boy. I've watched that scene so many times. It's funny, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but this is practical effects, you guys. This is not digital. She's split in half before the thing comes up.
Pipe.
Yeah, because I've watched it on pause because I had to know how they did it. It's so ill, and I love that in Fangoria. Isn't it wild? You can remember articles you read at 14 years old, but I remember they clued me into like the kind of safe sex message. The doctor steps on the condom that they decided not to use before he jams the pole through her, and even that looks terrific, dude. That pole coming through her looks as real as fuck, and the dude screaming, "Debbie, Debbie!" and you think that's gonna be it, and then just splits her in fucking half. And then you hear crunch, no more screaming, and then the doctor just walks. That doctor did an awesome job. That actor's in tons of stuff. He's in tons of stuff. Every time I see him, I just think of him gnawing on the heart. But he's an awesome actor. Man. He's a fucking dope actor. Man, like, something I'm thinking about, like, right now, too. It's like, it was like a really eclectic movie. You had, like, the final girl, but, like, you had, like, her love interest where things went bad. Creighton Duke, you had Robert the Slime Ball. It's just like I don't know, man. It's more in depth than just like Friday had its time to be just like a group of kind of almost like characterless kids. Not characterless, but you don't know them super well. Kids getting slaughtered. And I love Friday for that. I mean, really, my favorite one, I mean, I love 4. 4 is just absolutely classic to me. That final scene with Corey Feldman, young Tommy Jarvis, that classic moment with the machete in the head and it falls down. I mean, that is classic stuff. I love 4. 5 is another one that's had a big kind of groundswell of support. Like recently, people are way into 5. I like 5. There are a lot of moments I like in 5. It's as a kid, I was guilty of the same thing. People are not liking Jason Goes to Hell for. I was like, oh, it's not Jason. I don't like it. But I did still like it. I'd always still watch 5. And I think 5 has its merits. It has some really cool parts. 6 blew the doors off, though.
Up until the last 3 minutes of that film, it's fucking Jason, man. He walks Jason. Like, I think you're the one that told me that at some point. You're like, listen, man, it's a fucking Jason movie. And I was like, you're right, dude. It is a Jason movie. Up until the last 3 minutes, you're like, It's Jason. Knock that shit off. Take the ending off, but it's still a Jason movie. It's a sleazy, sleazy Jason movie, but it's a Jason movie for sure.
Yeah, and I do. I love that they got Corey Feldman to come back for that beginning scene. That scene stuck with me as a kid, where Jason comes out of like the homemade grave and he just wakes up and comes back. Because but God, I watch those movies now as an adult, and like Jason certainly wasn't unkillable in 2. He's not unkillable in 3. He just like happened to survive the step. He's like he's just like a maniac, but he's hurtable. Like you hit him with an axe, it's hurting, and he's got almost like a self-awareness in 3. Like he lifts the mask to show her his face, like, hey, look at me, motherfucker, I'm fucked up. And that was cool. It's like his tongue is out a little bit. He's like, like that's kind of cool. Like that's like, the character's still kind of finding himself in 3. Certainly he just gets the hockey mask, and like, but 4 to me is really when it starts. This guy might be unkillable. He was pronounced dead by, you would assume, competent EMS workers, then a doctor at the hospital. He is dead. He's in the morgue, and then just wakes up. That's really when I first start to imagine him as unkillable. But then, of course, he gets killed in part 4. But I guess not. Jason comes back in part 6, obviously. So, spoiler alert. But like he was dead when Hans and Tommy opened the coffin. He's very much dead.
He's Frankenstein, man. The electricity brings him back.
Which definitely that pokes a hole in 9. If somebody said that, if somebody is well versed in the lore enough to tell me that, I'd say you got us there like that. But maybe that demon was just sleeping in Jason, and the electricity kind of woke it up, and it said, you can kind of plug in. That's one of the fun parts of Fridays, kind of plugging in my own lore with the little inconsistencies. But yeah, I'll never stop.
Man, Halloween killed off Jamie Lee Curtis twice, brought her back 3 times. All right.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about plot holes in Friday the 13th, man.
Yeah, good point, man. I'll always beat the drum for Jason Goes to Hell, bro. That's just the way it is. And I love that we both have a genuine affection for that movie. It makes me just really happy, dude. Totally off topic. Don't kill me, but I'm so curious. Thoughts? Evil Dead Rise, what have you heard? Are you reading about it? I read a couple reviews today. One said spoiler-free review. It was on Bloody Disgusting, but it wasn't really spoiler-free. It wasn't filled with spoilers, but it's too much information. I wish I didn't read it now, but so I would.
I'm very excited. I haven't read any of the reviews because much like a lot of the other newer horror movies, I really want to go in as blind as I possibly can. Especially with it being an Evil Dead film. Evil Dead is in my top 3 favorite franchises of all time.
Sure.
And, I watched the green band trailer. I watched the red band trailer, and that was enough to get me hooked. That was enough for me to be like, you know what? I'm super stoked. I need to check this out. For those of you guys watching, it's been a couple weeks since me and Josh recorded this, but today a video was released online of them having like this little, Q&A at South by Southwest. And this guy stood up and was like, this movie fucking sucks. And Bruce Campbell's like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, really?
Did you see that video?
No.
I'm going to tag you. When we're done here, I'm going to tag you in this video on Twitter. And after it, I think it's Sam Raimi. He's like, yeah, the guy watched the whole movie till the end of the credits just to tell us it fucking sucked. And it's just like, how fucking rude. Like, if you don't like a movie, that's fine. I respect it. There's plenty of movies that I don't like. But disrespecting another human being by yelling to them, your movie fucking sucks when they're doing a live Q&A is just disrespectful and disgusting. But I love the fact that Bruce Campbell's just like, you know what? Get the fuck out of here. No one wants to hear from you,
Dude, it tells me, like, that's some shit I could see one of my friends doing as a kid. It has, like, nothing to do with the movie. That dude probably went there to yell. Like, unless that guy's, like, decked out in Evil Dead shirt, Evil Dead hat, Evil Dead, like, maybe he just went there to get noticed and yell. I hope so. I am hooked. I wish I didn't read that one review. It was basically spoiler-free, but I don't want to know anything.
Yep,
and now I know some things. And now I'm like, I don't want to know that. So I'm no more reviews, no more nothing, because I can't fucking wait, dude. And what did you think of, like, well, it's funny. One of the producers from Terrifier, his name on Twitter is Bradifier. He's a funny guy. Really seems like a really nice guy. He retweeted spoiler-free review of Evil Dead Rise. I said, spoiler-free? I'll fuck with it. first paragraph. Well, I don't want to know that, but it's not a spoiler. But I don't. And then I kept reading like an idiot. I was like hooked. But what did you think of Terrifier and Terrifier 2? Were you into it?
Love them both. I can say that I wish the second one cut out about a half hour's worth. I don't need to see
It's fairly
a 2.5
long,
hour
yeah.
slasher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been very excited for that movie for a couple of years. Fans of the channel know this. Amelie McLean, who played the little pale girl, me, her, and her mother are all very dear friends. So we've known for a couple of years that she was going to be in the film, and we couldn't talk about it. We couldn't, address it. So to finally see it come to fruition, to see all the attention that Amelie is getting for her role in this film, it's amazing, and I'm so happy and I'm so proud of her. No one deserves this more. We met her because of another movie that she did, and we became super close. She's a young lady. She reminds me of my daughter. Told her, if there's anything you ever want me to promote, anything you ever want me to do, of course I'll do it for you. You're a sweet young lady. And I gained a big rapport with her mother. And, once I heard about all this and then I seen it in action, I was just like, I'm watching the movie with like this pride in my heart, when she's smiling and doing the waves and stuff. I'm like, that's my girl, man. I'm so happy for her.
No, she did fucking terrific in that. She was awesome. This is terrible. Yeah, this is terrible for two guys in a band that like makes a living selling art to do. But we were so gassed to see Terrifier 2, but we're in Europe and we're just praying because its theatrical run was supposed to be a weekend, and then they kept extending it, and then we're like, oh shit, it might be there like when we get home. And every day I'm reading about it, and I find the YouTube. Somebody posted the movie on YouTube. It was for about 6 hours, and me and Claudio couldn't resist, and we watched it on YouTube. And I don't own a fucking DVD player. I bought the damn movie. So because I felt so bad. But dude, you can't have me with a chance to watch that movie. And I didn't expect it to work. I didn't expect it to really be the movie. It was. It front to back, and it stayed on, which is a miracle in and of itself in Europe to even have service that long, that it stayed on perfectly. And we both watched it on our phones, and we're just both yelling from our bunks, oh, fuck. But like, I loved it. Yeah, it's long, but the director, Damien, he said that the third one is probably going to be back to maybe like a 90-minute, 100-minute cut, something like that. But man, I thought I'm like Terrifier defied all the people involved with making that movie and like bringing it to life. What did it end up making in the movie theater? Like over $10 million, like something unheard of. What a win, dude! Like, and Art the Clown, like kind of like an icon is born. Like, I love Art the Clown, and I love the like brutality and the practical effects with the brutality. Like, I'm super duper into it. And I'm excited for it to like evolve. I think it's gonna evolve. Yeah. 2 certainly evolved from 1, and I expect that evolution to continue. I don't know with Damien Leone, that's his name, right? The director. I don't know him, but I've just kind of been following him. I don't really know Brad, one of the producers, but he's worked on a bunch of stuff. But I just am so enthralled by the horror community, which leads me to, it makes me God, I'm about to use the word tickled because I don't have a better word, but it just makes me really happy to see you plugged into that world. You plugged yourself in, brother. And that shit is really like just commendable and exciting. As a friend, I watch this for you and your wife, and I'm just excited for you guys, man. And it's a world that like, I am a part of just by existing, but I love like following these people, hearing, reading, seeing their art. And I love that my friend Ken is plugged in, interviewing, being a part of movies, making movies. It's just a real thrill, man.
Thanks, man. Like, I can't tell you, like, I'm telling you right now, man, 14-year-old me would have just had a heart attack and died. Like, the fact that you and I are friends and we're as close as we are, it means a lot. And like I said, the fact that we get to come on here and just bullshit for an hour about movies that mean so much to us, and defending Jason Goes to Hell, and if this excitement, not just from me but from Josh, everybody that watches the channel, what Jason Goes to Hell means to me. You all know how much I bring this movie up, how much I adore this movie. But if Josh's excitement for this movie doesn't at least make you want to go and rewatch it, I don't know if anything ever is. So you guys need to go back, rewatch Jason Goes to Hell, and down in the comments, let us know, do you love Jason Goes to Hell? If you do, why? If you don't love Jason Goes to Hell, what are some of the reasons that you don't like it? Has
Sure.
Josh swayed you a little bit to want to go back and rewatch it? So I did say at the top, guys, but I'm going to say it to you one more time. I do have Josh's social media links down in the description. So make sure you're following him on social media to stay up to date on all the things he's working on. One of the greatest guys in the world I know. And like I said, if you're not already, please like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Make sure you comment. We would love to know what you think about Jason Goes to Hell. Josh, don't go anywhere, my friend. I got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.